the divine souls. In this series that I've been giving about incorporating devotion into daily life, I started by asking the question, is it even feasible for a householder in this day and age to attain God? Is it realistic to follow the path to God while leading the life of a householder? And to answer this question, we looked at the scriptures and we saw that the crown jewel of all the scriptures, the Bhagavatam, relates to us that even the most fallen soul, even the most worldly person, even with all the limitations imposed upon us by the age of Kali Yuga, despite all of that, it's still completely realistic for a householder to follow the path to God. We looked at a few historical examples. I can add another one to that. You would have all heard of Mirabai. Mirabai was married. And you might not realize this because she became more famous later in her life. But after being married, she had many duties. She looked after her in-laws. She performed all the duties of the household, just like ordinary people do. But her husband, seeing her devotional heart, built her a little mandir, and she used to go there in the evenings and pray after all of her duties were taken care of. She used to go in this little mandir, and she would worship her Gopal Krishna. In other words, she found a way. She didn't have any less level of commitment than you all have with your children and your spouse and your in-laws and your extended family. But she found a way. It's another matter that later on in life, her in-laws opposed her to such an extent that she had to leave the house and go to Vrindavan and just do devotion to Shri Krishna. But up to a certain point, she fulfilled all of her family duties until those she was living with made it impossible for her. They even tried to kill her, tried to poison her. At that point, she left. But she's a great example of someone incorporating devotion into daily life. There's another story of a small boy who was an only child, and he and his mother lived alone in this small house on the edge of the jungle in a small village. And the boy had to walk some distance through on a trail through the jungle to get to where his school was every day. He'd walk there and he'd walk back. So sometimes he used to feel a little scared. He was young, walking alone through the jungle. Sometimes it would get late. One time it got really late. It was like this time of year, getting dark a little earlier. And he stayed at school a little longer, and on his way back, he got a little turned around, wasn't sure if he was off the trail or not. There were no lights. He was walking through the jungle. He wasn't sure if he could find his way home. He ended up finding his way home, but he got pretty scared. So when he got home, this little boy asked his mother, "Don't I have any older siblings who can help me out, who can look out for me and take care of me?" His mother was a devotee of Krishna. She said, "Oh, you have an older brother. His name is Gopal, but he doesn't live in the house anymore. He lives in that jungle. So whenever you feel scared, just call for him. Call for Gopal and your older brother will come." The boy listened to what his mother said and he kept it in mind. But since he didn't feel any urgency over the next few weeks, he never bothered to call Gopal. He just kept walking to school and back with no incident. Until one day, a similar thing happened. He got caught after dark in the jungle. He got scared. He completely lost his way. Didn't know if the house was this way, that way, that way, that way. No idea where the trail was, which way to go. He's thinking, am I going to have to spend the night in this jungle all alone? He's just a little boy. So then he remembered his mother's words. Oh, my brother lives in this jungle. Gopal. She said to call for him and he would come. Gopal, Gopal. And he's calling with desperation. And while he's doing that, from behind he feels a hand on his shoulder. And he doesn't feel alone anymore. And he turns around and there is his older brother, Gopal Krishna, with open arms. So he embraces that little boy and says, now don't worry, I'm going to stay with you all the time. And every day I'll walk with you to school and back. So the boy asked, if you're my brother, why didn't you come to me before now? You only came to me today? Krishna said, you only called me today. I was with you watching around, but today you called me, so today I came. So everyone is qualified to find Shri Krishna. I told you that to make this possible for you, the best way is to make Shri Krishna a part of your family. Just like the mother told that little boy. He's your big brother. Now, when you hear this, some of you might have a question. In fact, one of you asked me a question, a very good question. That if I think of Shri Krishna as part of my family, where do I draw the line in terms of formality? And he gave me an example of his father, something his father says to him, which is right. His father says, I'm your father, I'm not your buddy. And whenever we've been around our fathers, played with our fathers, we know there's a line not to cross, right? You can go to a certain point of informality, but at a certain point your father gives you that look, and you know that's the line. Because I'm the father. I'm not your buddy. You can't do everything, get away with everything with me. There has to be a certain level of respect and dignity and formality maintained. So he's asking, is it the same thing with Shri Krishna? The answer is no. It's up to you, put it that way. If you want there to be formality, let there be formality. If you don't want there to be formality, there doesn't have to be. One big difference between our relationships in this world and our relationship to Shri Krishna is that we can have multiple relational feelings with him. In the world, we have those limitations. I'm your father, not your buddy. The father is the father. You have someone else who's your companion, friend, buddy. One person cannot fulfill all of your relational needs. You need many people. You need someone else is your mother, someone else is your father, someone else is your husband, someone else is your wife, someone else is your son or daughter. One person can't be all of these things to you. How is it possible? Shri Krishna is all of those things to us. Gatir bharta prabhu sakshi nivasa sharanam suhrit Gita. I'm your everything. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Oh, Shri Krishna, you're my everything. Imagine saying that to a person in this world. It's not possible. That's why we naturally have this fear. How should I love him? Like this or like that? If I love him like this, can I also love him like that? Yes. Love him all the ways. There is no restriction. All of the relationships are bound up in one. We call this samyak Sambandh. Sambandh is made of two words. Sambandh means relationship. Bandh means jodi, a pairing. So you have some relationship with someone, so you're joined with them. Sam means samyak. Charon or paripurn sambandh. So a true relationship is paripurn. Paripurn means absolute and complete in every way, with no restriction or limitation. There's no such thing in the world. So sambandh doesn't exist in our worldly relations. Sambandh exists with Shri Krishna. You want to think of him as your father 1 minute and your son the next? Go ahead. Paap nahi lagega. Imagine saying to your one minute your father's saying to you, oh, please bring me a glass of water, and you bring him a glass of water, and the next second you call him from the other room, oh beta, zara idhar aana. You call your father as if you would talk to your son. That won't last long in the household. They'll send you to a mental hospital. Something cracked up here. With Shri Krishna, there's no such restriction. 1 minute, he can be your husband. The next minute, your son. The next minute, your friend. The next minute, your father. It's all in your heart. He's in your heart. There's no distance between you and him. And he gives us full freedom to love him any way we want, at any time. This is the beauty of our relationship with Shri Krishna. So don't worry. Daro mat. Shri Krishna's friends didn't fear him. This is raganuga bhakti. Vaidhi bhakti restricts you. How you worship, when you worship, what to wear when you're worshiping, what direction you should face. All of these restrictions are there in Vaidhi bhakti. No such restriction exists in raganuga bhakti. We can love him any way we want, any time we want, anywhere we want. Shri Krishna's friends didn't fear him. They were ragatmika bhakti wale. Ragatmika bhakti means those saints, they have that divine status and they have full right over Krishna. When they defeated Shri Krishna in a game, and if the bet was that the loser will get down on his hands and knees and the winner will sit on top of him like you would sit on a horse, and he has to give you a ride across the field, when Shri Krishna lost the game, his friend got on his back with full right and dug his heels into his ribs and said, "Giddy up, horsey. No fear. I won, you lost. Let's go." Could you imagine doing that with God? In Raganuga Bhakti, you forget the God part. Shri Krishna gives you permission. He says, in fact, I like that better. I want to forget I'm God. And I forget I'm God if you love me in that way. So love me, getting rid of the Bhagavata part, the divine dignity and formality. Forget about that part. Love me like I'm your sakha, your best friend. Love me like I'm your son. Oh, Kanhaiya, what are you doing in that room over there? I hear some kat-pat. And Shri Krishna, oh, nothing. He's afraid of you now. The tables are turned. And he likes that better. Love me like your own son. Make me your own. Make me forget I'm God. We have that power to make him forget he's God. If we, yadi hum log himmat karte hain, if we are brave enough to say, okay, he may be God, honge Bhagwan apne ghar ke, हमारे घर में नहीं है. We have to have that courage. Yeah. He may be God to the rest of the world, but to me, He's my son. He's my beloved. He's my best friend. No restriction, no sankoch, means hesitation. Don't hesitate at all. So in this way, you're free to make Him a part of your family, in your daily life and in your heart. To help you bring this into reality, I explained to you that there's some important knowledge. We have to remember, we have to know and understand and remember that our true identity is the soul, which means that our only eternal relationship is to Shri Krishna. If we remember those two things, main kaun, mera kaun, then we will always remember that Shri Krishna is a part of our family. There are three things that are criteria for a relationship being called as sambandh. One I told you, paripurn. It has to be absolutely complete. Number two, it has to be eternal. I already explained this to you, that only our soul relationship to Shri Krishna is eternal. Our physical relations, since they depend on the existence of our body, and the body itself is temporary, so those relationships are also temporary. The third criterion is that a true relationship is swarth rahit. Shri Krishna doesn't have any self-interest in His relationship with us. He is only looking to grace us with His divine love. In the world, there is a foundation of self-interest. This is not an indictment of worldly relations. It's not a criticism of our worldly relations. It's just the reality. When a person is bereft of the thing they need, in other words, happiness, they're going to be looking for it in every aspect of their life, including their relationships. That desire to be happy governs everything we do. Then how could we have a relationship bereft of self-interest? Our self-interest dominates our thinking. Where will I find happiness? How can I get happiness? Will you give me happiness? Can I find happiness in this person? Did you ever look at a person to whom you were attracted, thinking that, oh, maybe this person could be my friend? Did you ever do so with the idea in your mind, if they became my friend, I could make them happy? No. You do so with the idea, if they become my friend, I'll be happy. So this swarth is the basis for all of our relationships. It's hidden, it's unspoken, but it's there in everything we do. It's okay to acknowledge it. There's nothing wrong with it. That's the nature of worldly relationships. We're all beggars, and when we engage in relationships with each other, we're begging from each other. I'm bereft of happiness. Do you have happiness? And you are also a beggar, so you're saying, I don't have what he's looking for. But maybe he has what I'm looking for. So let me pretend I have what he's looking for. In other words, I'll behave in such a way that he thinks he will get happiness from me. And in that way, when he becomes my friend, maybe I'll get happiness from him. And I'm thinking the very same thing. Dono dhokha de rahe hain ek dusre ko. It's so funny that we know we're bereft of happiness, and yet we assume the other person has the happiness. If they had it, why would they be looking to us for happiness? We don't get that far in our thought process, unfortunately. We just assume everybody must have something. No, we're all beggars. So anyway, Only our relationship with Shri Krishna can be called sambandh, because it is swarth rahit, at least from his side. It is eternal and it is paripurn. We have all the relationships with him. So we have this knowledge of our true self being the soul and our only eternal relationship being with Shri Krishna. Let me add one more bit of knowledge that will be helpful to us in incorporating devotion into our daily life. In fact, without this knowledge, it's not possible to incorporate it into our daily life. As I was telling you, the search for happiness dominates our thoughts. Where is that happiness? That decision which our mind will make will determine whether we're able to incorporate devotion into our life or not. There are two possibilities. Happiness would either be in the world and in worldly people, or happiness would be in God. Two options. If our mind makes the decision that happiness is in the world, then it has no reason to incorporate devotion into life. Because the thing we're looking for, we have a firm faith we're going to get that from the world. Then there's no need for God. This knowledge is so important. That's the basic tattva gyan. So we have to think day in and day out, we have to keep thinking happiness is in God. True happiness is in God. Our Vedas are so great. They give us a scientific explanation for everything. They even tell us, you want to know what true happiness is? That has 3 criteria as well. True happiness must be unlimited in amount, last forever, and be ever increasing. 3 simple qualities of true happiness. So now, apply this knowledge to your experience in this world, and you'll know, you'll see. Have we ever found happiness of an unlimited amount in this world? No. Even if someone gets great happiness, it's not unlimited. It's of a certain amount. And number 2, it lasts for a limited period of time. And number 3, instead of being ever increasing, the more you go on enjoying the same thing, the more boring it becomes to you. So it seems like worldly happiness is pretty much the opposite of true happiness. Instead of being unlimited, it's limited. Instead of lasting forever, it's fleeting. And instead of being ever increasing, the more you enjoy it, the more exciting it becomes. Instead of that, the more you enjoy the same thing, the more boring it becomes. Everything I've explained so far has been simple, straightforward logic, not difficult. You could give this lecture. So let me add a little bit of depth to your understanding of worldly happiness. Why is it so? I'll get technical on you for a couple of minutes. God is Sat Chit Anand. Sat means his existence is unlimited. So not only does he live forever, but he's everywhere. Sat. Chit means knowledge, divine mind. God's knowledge is unlimited. The power of his intellect is absolute. And Anand, God is the very form of happiness, and that happiness is unlimited, everlasting, and ever increasing. So divine happiness fulfills these 3 qualities. Now, God is supreme. God's 2 other powers, the souls and Maya, depend on him. So he resides within the souls, and he also resides within Maya. Therefore, the souls and Maya also receive a reflection of Sat Chit Anand. In the souls, since we are his ansh, we are a minute fraction of God's power. Therefore, Sat manifests in an infinitesimal way. We are also eternal, but we only exist at one place, at one time. We're infinitely small, whereas God is infinitely big. So he is Sat and we're Sat, but he's Vibhu and we're Anu. Anu means tiny. Chit. How does Chit manifest in the souls? Well, we're also conscious and sentient like God. We also have a mind and the ability to think and know, but in a very limited way because we are Anu Chit. He's Vibhu Chit, we're Anu. He has unlimited knowledge. We have very limited power in our mind. And in terms of Anand, God is absolute unlimited bliss, and we have a very limited ability at the present time to experience happiness. How does this Sat Chit Anand manifest in Maya? See, whereas we are sajatiya with God, we are of the same family. He's alive, we're alive. Maya is vijatiya. It's the opposite of God. You can say it's anti-divine. Not opposed to divinity, not like that, but the opposite of divine. So Sat Chit Anand manifests in a distorted way within this Mayic world. See, whereas God is a permanent, stable, divine existence, Maya also exists, but it's sadasat, sadasat, sat and asat. How? It gets distorted. The original energy lasts forever, so it's sat, but all the forms manifested by Maya are asat because they're temporary. Asat meaning not permanent. Illusion, because they don't last forever. So see, the sat is there in Maya, but in a distorted way. Chit is also there, but how does Chit manifest in Maya? As worry, tension, stress, chinta. And Anand is also there in Maya, but how does it manifest? In that distorted way, limited, temporary, ever decreasing. So this is the nature of the world we live in. Now, you understand, if you want true happiness, it's not going to be found in Maya, it's going to be found in God. And it's not going to be found in any person in this world because we're all in the same boat. It can only be found in God, who is the very form of divine happiness. So our ultimate goal to attain perfect happiness can only be attained by reaching God. If we keep this knowledge in our mind, then we will find a way to make Shri Krishna a part of our family. He will become important to us. If we know He is in possession of the happiness that I want, then He becomes important to us. If we know I have samyak sambandh, I have the perfect relationship with Him already, then He becomes important to us. So the knowledge is primary. We need that knowledge in order to bring devotion to life and into our life. At this point, a person may have a question. Then what is the world for? In fact, they may be a little upset. Then what is this world for anyway? You're telling me the world is worthless, useless? Telling me just to leave everything or what? No. This world has a reason for its existence and it has an importance in our life also. This world is a means to an end. and we can't do without it. Our body and this world are sajatiya. I said our soul and God are sajatiya, right? Our body and this world are sajatiya. Can we live without our body? You can say in Mahapralaya we do. We're without at least we're without our sthul sharir, we're without a physical body. But we can't be active doing karma, doing devotion to God. We can't do any of that without a physical body. So we need this body. And this body needs this world. And what is the world for? God decided to do srishti out of compassion for the souls, seeing them in that inactive state during Mahapralaya. He decided, let me again activate Maya, and even though this universe is not full of Anand, it's going to manifest the Sat Chit Anand of my personality in a distorted way, because that's the nature of Maya. But at least these souls can get a human birth and they can get a chance to attain me. That's the whole reason he did srishti. So when we find ourselves with a human birth, when God gives us a human birth, what do you think he's hoping we use it for? What was his laksh? What goal did he have in mind when he decided, I'm going to give this soul a human birth? You think he had it in mind that, you know what, when this soul receives a human birth, they'll be able to enjoy watching TV. Animals don't enjoy watching TV. Let me give this soul a chance to experience the joys of watching TV. We could touch on any such topic, right? Animals can do so many things. Animals have families. Animals reproduce. Animals eat. Animals sleep. They do so many things we can do. So God certainly didn't give us this human body to eat, sleep, reproduce, look after our families. We couldn't do that as animals as well. So that's obviously not the ultimate reason he gave us this human body. And it wasn't to watch TV or other entertainments we can create through our power of intellect as human beings. No, he gave us this human birth so we could do devotion to him and thereby attain divine happiness. He wants to give us that divine happiness. So the world has an importance, but the world is not an end in and of itself. The world is a means to an end. Sharir madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. This body is the means of doing our dharma. This body is the means of attaining God. Tan binu bhajan ved nahi barna. You can't do bhajan without a tan, without a body. You cannot worship God. And if you need your body to worship God, then you need food, water, shelter, medicine, vitamins, minerals, calories, protein. You need all of these things for your body. That's why God made the world. He made the world for your body. And instead of taking it as a useful thing we need to keep our body healthy, we take it as the source of ultimate happiness. What can God do but say, hey, Bhagwan, I made this world for your body and you're looking for perfect happiness? No, I am perfect happiness. I've told you in all the scriptures, I've sent hundreds and thousands of saints on the earth to chilla ke batate hain ki anand us taraf hai. Ye sansar aapke sharir ko chalane ke liye hai, bas. नहीं हम आनंद ढूंढ रहेंगे इसमें, किसी की नहीं सुनेंगे, आनंद ढूंढेगी ही इस संसार में. मैं भी जिद्दी हूं. So what can God do? And then हम लोग अकड़ जाते हैं. You're telling me I shouldn't be attached in this world? God must become exasperated. Okay, get attached in the world. What can I do? All I can do is explain again and again. Send saints again and again. So we need this knowledge. This is the samanvay of adhyatmavad and bhautikvad. The bhautikvadi says, there's no God, I don't need God, I will find happiness in this world. And the adhyatmavadi says, only God is true happiness and I don't need anything from this world. And Jagadguru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj says both are wrong. The Adhyatmavadi is right about where true happiness is, but he's wrong if he thinks he doesn't need this world. Even a God-realized saint, a Paramahans, needs this world. As long as he's inhabiting his physical body, he needs food, he needs water, he needs air. He has to support his body. So if a Jivan Mukt Paramahans requires all of those things, certainly we do as well. And of course, the Bhautikvadi, we can all see that if someone truly believes they can find perfect happiness from this world, they're deluding themselves. So the Bhautikvadi and the Adhyatmavadi are both wrong. You have to reconcile the two. God is the goal, but this world is necessary as a means to reach our goal. Shri Krishna says, Yuktahar viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. Arjun, this path is for one who leads a balanced life. He shouldn't eat too much or eat too little, sleep too much or sleep too little. He should find a healthy balance in his behavior with others, in his actions in the world, in his personality. He has to find a balance. So we have to find that balance in our life. I've been preaching to you, explaining that you should make God important in your life. But now I'm also tying this up. I'm going a little bit longer tonight because this is the last lecture you're going to hear in this family camp. Tomorrow night we have a cultural program where all the participants get a chance to show what they've learned in the camp. So I want to wrap this up by saying, although I've been telling you to make God more important in your life, that doesn't mean that we have no use for the world, and that doesn't mean we can be irresponsible in the world. Raganuga bhakti is not an excuse to be irresponsible and careless in the world. Someone was asking me today that, is it okay to excel in my worldly endeavors as well? Or am I not supposed to do that when I'm on the path of bhakti? So I told him, you only have one mind. That excelling switch in your mind that I have to do my best, that can't be turned on and off at will. So if you turn it off, it means it's off when you need it for devotion as well. If you turn on the lazy, careless switch in your brain, that means you're going to be lazy and careless in devotion as well. So we can't be careful and determined in devotion and careless in the rest of our life. We have to try to excel at work. We have to carefully take care of all of our responsibilities in the family. We have to be good people. Raganuga bhakti means in the way you love God, there's no restriction. It doesn't mean, see, some people even take it to the point of, okay, then, let me just not follow any kind of schedule either in my devotion. You know, raganuga bhakti, anytime, any place, right? That doesn't mean there's no benefit in saying, I'm going to do devotion every day at 7 a.m. There's benefit in doing that. A raganuga bhakti person should also set a fixed time and do devotion every day at that time. A raganuga bhakti person should follow a health regimen of exercise and carefully selected foods. We have to lead regulated lives. The whole object of devotion is to tame the mind, right? This mind is our enemy. The mind is the one that's caused us to waste uncountable opportunities in this human form. We have to tame it so that we can divert it towards devotion. But to tame it, we have to lead a regulated life. We can't be careless on the physical side and expect our mind to be under our control. You've heard Maharaji say that bahiranga niyamon ke palan karne se man par asar padta hai. By following external rules and regulations, you condition your mind. Maharaji says the more you let your mind get away with what it wants to do, the more balwan it becomes. It becomes stronger and stronger and more difficult to control. Usko dabana hai. Dabao usko. You have to get it under control, make it follow some rules, regulate it. That's the great thing about these camps. I love it for that reason as well. I am more regulated during these camps, so I feel my mind becoming more devotional and I get more benefit. So what I'm saying is that we have to achieve a balance. Make God the most important thing in your life, but don't become careless in other aspects of your life. When we follow the path of bhakti, as I mentioned on the first day, things come into focus. When we get the right knowledge, our perspective changes. We realize, I'm a soul and I only belong to God and I'm leaving all of this one day. It could even be today. Our perspective changes. Everything comes into clear focus. That doesn't make us, it should not make us unfeeling, cruel, uncaring. That's not the path of bhakti. Having that come into focus, how would it affect our relationships? Now we should be able to see people more for who they are and not for who we want them to be. We're so used to looking at people through the lens of our own self-interest. We never see who they really are. When we get this correct knowledge and when we progress on the path of devotion, now our self-interest is being fulfilled by Krishna, which reduces the pressure we feel to extract happiness from those around us. Behave in this way and that will make me happy. That pressure reduces to the extent we're surrendered to Shri Krishna. So that means now we can be more forgiving, more patient, more caring, more compassionate, and yet less attached. Because the attachment is just the result of expecting to fulfill our self-interest from that person. We're removing the attachment, we're reducing that pressure of self-interest because that's being transferred to Shri Krishna. And yet our compassion and caring for those in our family increase. It should increase. Our patience with our family members should increase. And we should be forgiving. Maybe there's someone in your family who one time or many times opposed you from doing devotion, wanted to prevent you from doing more satsang. Okay. maybe they're going to change one day too. Give them a chance. Forgive them. It doesn't make them your enemy. Maybe Shri Krishna is testing you, trying to show you where your shortcomings are. Did you become angry when that happened? The same on the other side. Maybe you, or maybe someone in your family, becoming so overwhelmed with devotion, became careless in some family duties, ignored something you were supposed to be doing. We can admit that too, and maybe the other person can forgive us, or if it happened to you, you can forgive them. So as we progress on this path, we have to understand that everyone in the family is going to make mistakes. Here in the ashram, we're all one big family. Right now, our family is bigger. We have a family of 200 people now, and normally we have a family of 50 people on an average day. So whether you live in the family of an ashram or you live in the family in your house, we should keep that in mind, that as we progress on this path, are we becoming more compassionate and forgiving and patient with those in our life? We should be. That should be one of our goals. That will help us keep things in balance. The harmony in our family should increase as we progress on the path, not decrease. Maybe we have to work hard at it, but we should work hard at it. That's part of our devotion as well. Maharaj Ji says, "Meetha bolne mein kya kharch hai?" What does it cost you to speak sweetly? Kisi ko dukh mat do. Don't cause suffering, don't cause sadness to anyone. Don't hurt anyone. Who are the ones we hurt the most often and the most deeply? Our family members. So it's not that it's easy. In fact, I think that is more difficult than practicing devotion. People think meditating is difficult. People think that doing devotion to Radha Krishna might be difficult. No, I think controlling one's emotions and putting in the effort required to maintain harmony in the family, that's where the real effort is. You have to really strive to make that happen. But it's all one package, it's all part of the same path. We have to strive every day to make God important in our life. And at the same time, knowing that it will please Shri Krishna and it will please Maharaj Ji, we also have to strive to maintain harmony in our family and to carefully fulfill all of our responsibilities. The reason I'm telling you all of this is because I not only want to inspire you to follow this path, I want to not scare you away from following this path. Because we have unfounded fears. Many people I meet have unfounded fears that if I follow this path, mere sansar ko kya hoga? What will happen to my world, my worldly life? It doesn't have to fall apart. That's on you. It should not cause any negative effect in your worldly life. But you have to maintain that balance. So, I think I've spoken enough for tonight. I can't think of anything else to say. Hopefully, in this camp, you've received inspiration and knowledge and motivation to follow this path and incorporate it into your daily life. And if you do so, you will see benefits. And that report card that I had you create earlier today, you'll be able to get some good marks. You'll give yourself some good marks on your report card, and you'll be able to progress, albeit with baby steps, and maybe as you go, with increasing speed towards your ultimate goal of God realization. Bolo Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की।